Jennifer here from Belladonna's Botanicals, and this is another installment of Jennifer's Insights. So, the topic of this one, this stemmed from something I said in a conversation to a friend last week, and I really I think this encapsulates something for me. And what I said was, that's the magic of magic. Once you realize you don't have to do magic, you become the magic, and that be that. So what we were kind of talking about in that, because there's so many different magical systems. A lot of what I would say, especially when you're doing working with spirits, a lot of what we do is for us. It's not necessarily for the spirits themselves. I make my offerings. I do regular floral offerings, incense, things like that. But the thing is, there's a point at which, because magic is energy, you're working with, there gets to be a point in your magical evolution. I think this is how I want to put it, where I don't have to burn the candle. I get to burn the candle. I'm burning the candle because, to me, that is showing something. Magic comes from within. It is within us all. So that is something to keep in mind, because a lot of times we get stuck in the details of things. And there's a lot of different magical systems. There's a lot of different practices. I'm not saying, hey, shit just happens. Sometimes you do have to work for it, but you do get to a point when you've been working with the spirit world long enough. I don't have to do fancy pants ceremonial magic evocations or invocations to get shit done. And, working with the spirit world and all of that, it's not, sometimes I forget which one said it. It's like, stop getting in your own way. I think that was the message. I forget who or which spirit that kind of came from. It was like, stop getting in your own way. Because we do that a lot with magic. And I know I'm saying this as someone who makes magical products, so take it for what it's worth. I like doing these things. I like the ritual of it, the ceremony of it, but I can do just as much magic by focused intention sitting here. Do I need, $400 worth of candles, or can I just go into state, meditate, transcend into different realms, and get shit done? That's where I'm at the point in my practice. Doesn't mean I'm not burning some candles on my altar right now. That's for me. I'm trying to think of a good way to describe it, because this is something I think we sometimes get stuck in. I have to do X, Y, and Z ritual. I've got this book and I've got to do the thing by the book because someone said, this is how you do this. And sure, great, that can be. But we have to also acknowledge that we are part of the magical systems we work within and create from, to create change and manifest our desires. I don't really have to do a big fancy pants evocation every time I do something. I do some stuff as, what's a good way to put it? Sort of. So I do, when I'm opening up a ritual, I don't do it every time. Like right now, because I've been doing some ongoing work, like I've already, called in the corners, called in the, stuff. So I have my candles set up on my main altar. And if you want to see how the setup is, watch our video on the basic demonolatry altar setup. So I have 9 pillar candles, one for each of the 9 demonic divinities. So what I do there is I recite their ends as I'm lighting the candles. Then I call in the corners. I call in Belial with his end. I call in Lucifer. I call in Flurious. I call in Leviathan, and then Satan. And if I'm working with another entity outside of that, I will call them in. Do I always do the stuff with the demonic divine or the demonic divinities? It depends who I'm working with. If I'm working with Santa Muerte, no. That's a very different type of practice. Um, but yeah, most of the time for me, a lot magic is mental, it's energy, it's a lot of these things. And if you know how to work with energy, and that is probably the most basic, fundamentally, or the most basic, fundamental, foundational thing is working with energy. Your energy, the energy of the environment, the energy of the land spirits. That's something that I'm really kind of starting to explore more, is working with that. Like, I am now living back in the place in which I was born and I grew up. And one of the things, I know I mentioned this at some point in time in a video, where I was like, they remember, they witnessed us, they witnessed our birth, our manifestation into this realm. And while we may not remember, the land remembers, in a sense. So if you can work with those land spirits in that way, so that's another aspect. I mean, you've got elemental energy. Like, a lot of times, like when we get like a bad storm in, I just walk around my house calling in Bael's energy. That's the storm god aspect of Bael. And to kind of channel that storm energy into my workings. So a lot of this is about working with energy. Energy can come from elements. So you've got your earth, air, fire, water, spirit. Energy can come from within. It's emotion, it's feeling. Energy comes from music. It comes from art. It comes from photographs. It comes from so many different things, that when you get all of that in harmony, and all of that becomes part of you. Because I mean, I learned how to work with energy. Some of it was natural to me. Like, I am a Usui Reiki master. I did level 1 shamanic Reiki. I would love to get back to that at some point, but I need more of me to be able to do everything I want to do. Or some of the stuff, like, we have to look at kind of what is natural and inherent to us. Like, I didn't realize a lot of things that I was just doing because I knew how to do it on some, you know, preternatural inherent level. Like, it wasn't until I started studying shamanic healing that I realized, I'm like, oh, that's just giving me a name for something I just do naturally, because it's part of me. That. So you have that aspect. We all have spirits that, whether you work with different spirits, different pantheons, all of that, we have that access to that energy. And once you start building your relationships with these different entities, like, I see a lot of, and I'm guilty of it myself, I see a lot of people trip over themselves. It's like, I have a problem. What demon can I work with to help me XYZ thing? Do you need to pick a new someone you've never worked with? Or can you work with your spiritual, who you work with regularly, on that same thing? Like, I haven't really thought about working with Belial for money magic. I've worked with Belial for a great many things in my life. I just recently started working with him a little bit on the money magic side of things. So I'm doing my manifestation stuff. And the spirit world works in mysterious ways. It's like little opportunities and things. And you become the magic, and then you get to do the magic. The magic is you. And I don't know that people always get that. We call ourselves magicians and sorcerers and witches and, down the line. And we have our practices and rituals and things, and I'm not poo-pooing that. I have my own and I love them. But sometimes there's something in the acknowledgement of, I don't need to light this candle. I can do just as much powerful work in my astral temple or jumping through different realms as I can by sitting in front of my altar, doing the bells and whistles of a ritual. But it's all integrated. I don't just light the candle and channel my energy into the ritual. Of course, that's part of it. For me, it's a full body, mind and spirit integrated approach. I do a lot in deep meditation. And that's sometimes how I can get into state to channel, to go into ascension mode, into the demonic realms or into the other realms, whether I'm working with like the Jinn in the Noctamaran gate opening stuff. I talk about the working with the Jinn a little bit in a recent video, Spirits Gone Wild, because oh boy, howdy, the spirit world gets a little extra sometimes, very active. Um, but we have the spirits we work with. We have our spirit guides. We have our guardian angels. We have our, we can have aspects of incarnate deities or spirits within us. I've talked about this in the story of Amamael, which has been coming up again for me recently. I talk about this a little bit more in the Spirits Gone Wild. I'll try to remember to link the video below. And all of these things, like being able to channel, to communicate with the spirit world, it's listening with your and experiencing with your whole body, with all of your senses. And it's kind of like, if I want the answer to something, it's there. Or ooh, the paper falls and hey, yeah, that's the thing I was looking for. Belial did that last night. The night before, I put my Belial sigil, and I have the like little sliding drawers next to my altar. I have just basically like a piece of paper like this. I put the sigil into the drawer. I walked by last night, and it was like about 3/4 hanging out of the drawer. And then I walked by like half an hour later, and it was like smack dab in the middle of the floor, right in front of my altar. I'm like, okay, hey, Belial, what's up? So sometimes the spirits will do things to get your attention, and it's not always, going to be like, woo, it can be something that simple. And it's like looking at, like I've been doing the money magic, well, the opportunities and stuff. And sometimes those opportunities, those things can be little things. Like somehow so for my gas bill here, I'm on like whatever the budget plan thing is, where you kind of pay the same amount every month. But since I'm now starting my second year here on the lease, I guess I overpaid. So now I don't have to pay my gas bill this month. So hey, there's like $70 extra I have this month. And there's some other stuff that's in the works that it's not an immediate thing. It's going to take some work to get to, but the opportunity presented itself. It's like, oh, okay, pay attention. A lot of times we miss opportunities because we don't see them as the thing we're trying to manifest. And not for nothing, you got to work for this stuff. It's not suddenly like, $1 million is just going to fall from my ceiling. You got to work for it. And, it's a process. And as you evolve spiritually through your practices and working with different spirits, like I use the ends to, like, I use it as like, hey, Lucifer, what you doing? Can you help me with this? So back to the Belial sigil flying across the room last night. What did I need to do? I don't know, but I spent 3 hours in bed with my laptop writing. And it's because I've been working on, I think I'm going to do a separate video on this, but I've been working on a lot of deep trauma healing, integration, stuff like that. So that's what I was writing about. And I realized in that, so some of my big T trauma has a very big T in it. I don't talk about it. I'm not going to talk about it. At least, not here. That's for medical professionals and the, the people that I can count on one hand that I will have told about it or will tell about it. But I wrote about it last night. Now, the reason I don't talk about it is because every time I do, two things happen. One, I get a CPTSD pain flare up and for me, it hits my hips and low back, where I also have chronic pain. It makes me feel like my joints are made of lead and I am being crushed through to the center of the earth. So there's a pain flare up, and then I go into a trauma fugue state. So when I work through that, I am I am resigning myself to. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to spend the next 3 days in bed. Not I will be able to walk to the bathroom. I can probably get up and get something to eat and drink, and that is it. I may not even eat. I may just, have something to drink in the bedroom and maybe whatever snacks I can gather. That's it for 3 days. I sat there last night and wrote for 3 hours straight. I have about 8 pages. I'm not done yet, but I'm not in bed. I'm not in a trauma fugue. I have some pain, but I have had some physical therapy and some adjustments and stuff earlier today, and I have chronic pain. So, sometimes that but that wasn't related to that because I have different types of pain. I have sensory processing pain. So, like, ow, my pants are making me hurt. Or my pants are strangling my legs and I need to take them off. Or ow, that subwoofer bass is like literally stabbing me in the brain. Those kinds of sensory pain I have. I have the PTSD flare-ups, and that is a triggered pain, and it's very different than, say, the joint pain I have in my hips due to injury, which is different than the autoimmune inflammatory pain I have from psoriatic arthritis. Because I am autistic and ADHD, I am very hyper. You know how we hyperfixate and hyperfocus on things? I'm hyper aware of my body in weird ways. So I was describing to my physical therapist today. I'm like, I had a hysterectomy like 10 years ago. I'm like, yeah, back when I used to ovulate, I'm like, I can tell you exactly what it felt like. Felt like my fallopian tubes grew little pointy fingers and went to my ovaries. She's like, I can't say I've ever experienced that before or been aware of that, but that's what that particular pain or sensation felt like to me. So there is a hyper awareness of what is going on in my body. So I just got off on a tangent and have no idea where I'm going. Oh, back to Belial. So that was what that was what Belial was trying to get my attention. He wanted to show me that I can tell this story now without that happening, that there's an evolution in my healing process that helped me get to that point. So that's the thing for me. Did I have to do a ritual? I maybe before I went to bed lit my Belial candle on the altar, just kind of like, all right, not sure what you want me to do here, but all roads lead somewhere. And sometimes, you'll get breadcrumbs from the spiritual world that kind of lead you towards, finding that thing you lost, or, oh, okay, so I can write this and do this. And okay, so like there's something that happens there and there's a process. So it's fascinating, but that's the thing I try to emphasize. And what I'm kind of talking about here to give you some insights on, because a lot of people, especially when they're just starting out, want to do it like it's in the book. They want to do it like how they saw a demo on TikTok or YouTube or whatever. Or if they have a teacher, they want to do it how their teacher's teaching them to do it. You can develop and change and adapt things as much as you can or want, because here's the thing. It's all about you. It's your magic. It's your practice. You are the magic. What? The magic that is in the book was the magic of that person. Now, it's not to say you can't adapt that for your own needs. I do. I have tons of books. I love to read, so I'm a gigantic ass nerd for stuff like that. But that's the thing. It's all about you. It's your practice. It's your magic. It's your energy. That's not also not to say people can't do magic on your behalf or you can't do magic for other people, but there has to be some sort of energetic meta link there or a connective process. And that can happen in numerous ways. A lot of people do it on the astral or through, connecting the energies. I do it that way sometimes myself, but especially working within Reiki and other energetic healing modalities. Yeah. So that's, I think, the key into not stumbling over your own feet and, getting out of your own way. Realize that you are the magic. The candle isn't the magic. It's a tool. It's part of the process, but you are the magic. You have that within you. You can do magic anywhere with anything or absolutely nothing. I did a fucking, ritual evocation driving down I-95 once. Calling, I think it was with Abaddon maybe. That was after my car had gotten totaled and stuff. But yeah, you can do magic anywhere. You can do magic in your office. No one has to know. You don't have to be in there doing the lesser banishing ritual, the pentagram, and burning incense and all that. That's the bells and whistles. But it sets the mood. It gets you into, that's a lot of setting the mood for yourself and getting yourself into state for it. Because I know for me, having the neurospicy brain, sometimes the squirrels up there are just going, woo, crazy. And, they're in the bird feeders of my mind, kind of, stealing sunflower seeds and whatnot. But once you realize you're the magic, you are the source of that. You, from you connect out to the spirits you work with, to the energy, to the, you want to call it source energy, universal life force energy, so Reiki or Chi or Ki or prana. There's tons of different names for different types of energy like that. So if you want to work with that, you are the source energy of your magic. You can draw down that source energy into you to empower yourself, certainly, and to empower whatever it is that you're working on. Absolutely. But knowing in your mind that you can sit there and go, I don't need all of these things because I have the magic within me. Whether or not I have fancy pants candle, whether or not I have some, old grimoire and following it by the book because I have to follow it by the book because that's what I do. I'm not a by the book kind of person, never have been. I'm always going to improvise things in my own way. Some people get very stuck on things like, okay, well, I have to have the correct color, thing. I'm like, yeah, that can help. But at the same time, do I even need the candle? Can I just visualize a blue candle if I don't have a blue candle and work in my astral temple? Because I get people like, well, what color candle can I use? What should I use for the spell? I'm like, I don't care. I will use random color candles for things because sometimes we have our own personal associations with things. Sometimes red is used for more, some people use it for more malevolent type workings. For me, red is love. I do that for like love type workings or something I want to expedite the process on, like speed, in the same way that I would use cinnamon or like chili peppers to expedite a process. I use green for money magic. Sometimes I use gold. Sometimes it's what you have available to you. Like there's different color correspondences for different spirits and directions and all that. Do I use them? Sometimes, but I don't always have 400 candles of every single color at my disposal. Some will be like, well, I've got black candles, white candles, and red candles. So what are we going to do? White is a universal color. You can add, your intention to it. You can, even if you have a white candle and you're like, shit, I really need a blue candle, put some blue glitter on it. Find something blue and put it in a blue candle holder. You can incorporate those color correspondences in any type of way. It doesn't have to actually be the candle wax because all that blue is in the candle wax is dye. Now that I'm making candles. But, you can take some mica powder. Fucking hell, you can use some eyeshadow and put it on there, if you want, to have that symbolic. And that's the thing I talk about a lot, is a lot of stuff is symbolic, not literal. So that's why I feel that you can adapt and change things to your needs. Like, some people don't use green in money magic. Different traditions sometimes have different color correspondences for things. I'm not saying you don't have to. I mean, if it makes sense to you and is part of your practice to do so, by all means. But I'd like to pose a question here, because there is a lot of inherent ableism in magical systems. A lot of it comes in through gatekeeping, because it has to be done by the book in this way, and I'm a 2700th generation whatever. A lot of that's very ableist, because does the color correspondences, how would a blind person know that this is a red candle and this is a yellow candle? So, does the magic now not work for blind people because they can't differentiate the colors of a candle? So we have to kind of think about things that way. And that's a little bit and I probably will talk a little bit about some of the gatekeeping stuff, because there's things I think that should be, and things that I think people get a little stuck on their own high horses and bullshit about. Like, you can't possibly ever change and adapt something. Like, if I'm allergic to it, I don't give a flying fuck what tradition says. I'm not using something I'm allergic to. Like, I had to stop using mullein because it was giving me hives. So I'm not going, the spirit world isn't going to torture me, or my ancestors aren't going to torture me, or not, manifest the thing I'm trying to manifest because because I can't use mullein, or maybe I'm colorblind, or whatever. It's some of the stuff we have to, this is where we trip over our own feet, we get in our own ways, and we fuck our shit up. And I'm being blunt about it, because hi, I'm neurospicy. Sometimes I am blunt. But I think we need to really step away from some of those things. And that's why I am not a traditional person in any sense of the word. I never have been, and I probably never will be. I'm not a by the book person. I'm often a fly by the seat of your pants person. Because sometimes I'll be halfway through a ritual, and then something else, I'll be like, oh, okay, I see what I need to pivot and do something completely different, which means I need to go collect an entirely different, group of herbs, or find a sigil for something, or draw a sigil for something, and change midstream what I'm doing. And that's okay. That is perfectly okay. And, that's what I want people to understand, because people are so worried they're not doing it right. You're doing it right. You just think you're not. It's kind of like a watched pot never boils, or you're making it work. Like, if you're like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, yeah, no, it's not going to work. If you're like, oh, this oil doesn't have enough cinnamon in it, well, if you think if you think that this oil lacking enough cinnamon is going to make your magic fail, congratulations, you just made your magic fail, because that's neither here nor there. Did it even need to have cinnamon in it in the first place? Because you can use, in a pinch, if I didn't have whatever, I need, I would go into my kitchen, get some standard culinary olive oil, grab some, ground cinnamon I use, and use that. That is just as fine as going out buying a fancy pants oil. I like the fancy pants oils. I make fancy pants oils, but you can keep it simple, stupid, as they say. And it's perfectly adaptable. And the same thing is with when we work with spirits and stuff. A lot of people, and I'm guilty of this too, we get in our own ways, we get in our own heads. We're like, oh, this isn't going to work, or I hope this works. You have to act like it already worked. You're like, I already manifested the money I need, so I have the thing I want. So it's about not tripping over your own feet, getting stuck in your head, getting stuck in a feedback loop, worrying about, oh, I don't know if there's enough glitter on this. This is clearly not going to work now because there's, oh, she used silver glitter and not blue glitter. Well, you know, we get stuck on little details like that. And if you're an aesthetic witch and only worried about the aesthetics, okay, so maybe those details might be important to you, but it's not going to make or break whatever it is you're doing magically. Sorry, not sorry. Anyways, I've been rambling for about a half an hour on this. So, like I said, in closing, to reiterate, that's the magic of magic. Once you realize you don't have to do magic, you become the magic, and that be that. So don't forget to click like and subscribe. Drop a comment below. Let us know what you think. Be sure to follow us on social media. Sign up for our e-newsletter because algorithms suck. Our links and crap is below. And thank you so much for watching. And I love you all. Bye.